Well, everyone, I'm joined right now by Jensen, fresh off of their victory against TSM. I'm going to be yelling because he's having a hard time hearing me for some reason. We weren't able to solve that in time. Of course, this coverage is brought to you by Alienware. Jensen, I always seem to ask for the same person that Riot ends up interviewing, and you already did your interview with Latigris where she stole my wonderful questions. But you said that you did not even think about the fact that you were playing against Doublelift, and I don't know if you were just memeing or maybe like making a dig at him, or if you literally just, you're so in the zone you couldn't even think about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't even understand why I'm getting interviewed because I felt like I didn't do anything that game, and I'm just getting all the interviews for some reason. But anyways, no, I just completely forgot about it because we just scrimmed against our academy team, and I guess since we're playing from the facility, it feels like it's the same environment. And I guess LCS starting didn't really, I don't know, like kick in to me, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I was kind of just, playing a game, and yeah, I guess we were against TSM and we won.
Well, you're a long-standing player of the team, which is, I think, part of the reason why people want to talk to you. And this is one of the reasons I want to talk to you, and I'd already talked to Broxa. So either way, what is the difference in playing with tactical other than Doublelift? Do you feel different? Do things feel different?
I wouldn't say things feel too different. I think they're both two really good 80 carries. I'd say like probably the biggest thing about tactical is he's more selfless, and he won't get annoyed if there's not constant if our jungler is not bottom 24/7. So that's one thing. But yeah, and I mean he's a rookie, so he brings a fresh mindset and just like I guess a better like attitude towards improving, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think this is all like stuff that's kind of expected when it's like a rookie versus a veteran player, right? It's like they want to prove themselves, they want to try really hard, even though it's just, the beginning of the split. So I'd say like those are probably the biggest differences.
Well, Doublelift is known as being one of the best 80 carries long standing. There's that meme of all the other 80 carries coming over and the Grim Reaper on the door.
Yeah.
Do you feel like tactical is either at that level already or going to be at it soon? Because I mean, especially in North America, it feels like oftentimes fans become disappointed in some of our North American rookies.
I think it's hard to say. I think how you really like tell if a player, is like really, really good is like how they come up in the clutch moments, like the deciding team fights and stuff. And Doublelift is always up there, right? Like when it really matters and it comes down to like the smallest details, he's always clutch. And like I think it would be unfair to be like, yeah, like tactical, he's the best player in NA already, like best 80 carry. So I think we'll have to see how he does in like the bigger matches and like basically the bigger matches and when it really comes down to being clutch. But I mean, so far, like I think he's a really solid 80 carry and he's been performing well in practice and just now against TSM.
Well, before we move on from this newly ignited rivalry, there was a video that TL put out. I don't know if you saw it. I don't think you're in it. But it's the clips of Doublelift saying TL didn't treat him right, and he's looking to like TL should be terrified and all this stuff. It ends with a couple of the TL players all laughing. I think it's Broxa, Corja J, and Tactical.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Okay, what did you think when you saw his video or the Doublelift video of him trash talking and saying you guys should be terrified? Do you take that as like, oh, that's just Peter, that's just hype and entertainment, or do you feel like there's something to it?
I mean, yeah, I'd say like it's just Peter, like he loves to create hype stories. But maybe it's true. Maybe we should be terrified. But I mean, I honestly feel like we are one of the better teams right now. So personally, like I don't think any of us really felt terrified of TSM or anything like that. But I'm sure like down the road, like maybe in like a couple of weeks or months, like TSM will pick it back up and it'll make an interesting storyline. But right now it's just TSM still.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest differentiator, right? Because that Team Liquid and the Team Liquid I've been hearing about from other players and teams that have been scrimming you seems dramatically different, right? And of course, a lot of people are going to look at the Doublelift departure, but a lot of people also will be talking about the Jat thing. So I'm kind of curious, like, is it one of these two things? Is it both of them? Or are there like mental resets behind the scenes that are really getting you guys to a good place? I'm sure it's a mixture of all, but what really stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you said, it's a mixture of all, but I think like Jad had some like really good ideas. Like I'd say like we were getting, when we first started out, like we weren't like super good either, but like we learned from the teams we played against, and I think Jad is like really good at like helping us learn stuff in the early game, for example. And I think like a lot of like teams being good in scrims just comes down to them like being really good early game and snowballing. And I think our early game was like a weak part of our team, but it's something we've really improved on a lot. So I think, yeah, I mean, the mental reset helped for sure, but I think we've all just improved as well, and we're all just playing better. And I think a lot of it also just comes down to like Jad really helping us improve in the early game.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the early game stuff because it kind of segues into my next question, which is Kobe on the cast and hanging out with them at the apartment. He has been talking a lot about this line that stood out to him from an Emily Rand interview with Broxa, where Broxa was saying that, and looking at some of the VOD reviews from last split and kind of going back on them, he felt like there were so many moments where you guys were not being proactive, or like an opportunity could be taken and like the team just didn't take it. Do you agree? Was that like a big problem for you last split? And do you think that this team has sort of solved that issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly that's been like the biggest issue of just TL ever since I got here, and I think even before, like we were never a good early game team, and we'd win games because we were strong laners and we're good at team fighting, and that was how we won games. But I think right now we are more connected in the early game. We're working better together as a team, like just making stuff happen together. So I think we started pressuring together and using resources between each other a lot more. And I think that's like the biggest change for us this split.
Last split in particular, it felt as though there was just no good teams besides Cloud9, right? Like eventually we started to see FlyQuest and EG pop up, but it really did feel like there was a pretty big gap. It's only been 4 games so far of the split, and obviously we haven't seen, like, for instance, your team or EG face off against C9. But in those games, it does feel as though EG looks really strong. I mean, they just had a perfect game against CLG, and while it's CLG, it's a perfect game. And you guys look really strong against TSM, which might be struggling, but also has amazing players. So do you think that this split is going to be different from Spring, where we will see a lot of other strong teams besides C9?
I think for sure it's going to be different. I think no one was like at the same level as C9, especially when it came to like early game and just pressuring as a team. And I think, every team has had a lot of time now to study C9 and just really like learn why they are so good. So, it would be a shame if like people wouldn't improve from that. And I think, we've at least learned a lot from C9. So I think there's going to be a lot more challenge towards C9, not just from us, but from a few other teams as well. Yeah.
What are the other teams, if you had to guess?
I'd say EG is looking really good right now. FlyQuest as well. And honestly, like I was surprised to see CLG get rolled like that, because I think CLG is looking a lot better than they did last split. I mean, last split they were 10th place, right? So it's hard to look worse, but I think CLG is better than what they've shown on stage today. So I'd say maybe even CLG could challenge them. We'll see.
Oh, wow. That would be crazy to see, because I mean, I just had a very snarky tweet go out about how CLG is making an argument for relegation, but here you are saying maybe CLG can stand up against C9. It's insight into just how wild and wacky scrims can be, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think CLG is like playing a lot better as a team than they were last split, and we've played against them a lot, because I think us and CLG were like together with Immortals were like the 3 teams to start scrimming really early on in the split compared to every other team, like a couple of weeks before everyone else started scrimming actually, and they were actually like really good. And even now, I think they're better than what they've shown for sure.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that they just go downhill from here? Because that's got to be a mega tilter, right? Like your opening day, you're like, here we go, we didn't make roster changes, and then you just get perfected.
I'd hope not, because I don't think like the first game should decide that much. I mean, especially now, like I think it's 8 teams that go to playoffs, and I think everyone is just looking at playoffs, right? And it's all just about improving and getting in good shape for playoffs. So I'd say like CLG is gonna bounce back, and I'd predict them to be like at the top half of the standings at the end of the split.
Well, is there anything you want to say to any of the Team Liquid fans out there, especially ones that are like Wait, am I a TSM fan now or am I a Team Liquid fan?
I mean, I just hope people will still support us, even though we lost Doublelift, which is obviously a big part of why you're a fan of Team Liquid is Doublelift, right? But I'm hoping people will stick around and cheer for us because we're doing everything we can to you know come back on top, and hopefully we can be likable without Doublelift as well. So thanks for the support.
Yeah, well, thank you for the interview, Jensen. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Hello, I owe you an apology. I'm sorry you have to look at how shaggy I am since I haven't gotten a haircut for months and months and months. And that's a struggle. But you know what isn't a struggle? Playing Fantasy League of Legends. Oh my god, I'm losing myself here. With Draft Buff. They're sponsoring this interview as well as Alienware. So thank you to both of them for doing that. Use the link in the video description to sign up for Draft Buff. There's all sorts of cool stuff over there. It's fantasy the way Riot used to make it. You can actually go play in the leagues over there. But they also have something cool called a Draft Royale, where you have like a bunch of different entries. You get a budget, and you can play with a ton of people. And for opening weekend, we're actually doing a fantasy Draft Royale. Myself and Mark Zimmerman for Hotline League, and you can join up and try to beat our scores and compete against other Travis Gafford YouTube channel viewers, I guess. And so do that at the link in the video description, and be sure to sign up. Yeah, because the link will bring you to the Draft Royale. That's how this works. Anyway, thanks for watching.